Hey, it's Scott with Hawaii Jet Boat Adventures, and it's a wintry, blustery day here on Oahu. And it's been 27 days since the attack. What? You don't know about the attack? Stay tuned. About 27 days ago, I was hiking with, who else? Bree, dog. We were at our regular hike. Bree and I were all suited up. She was leashed up, had her harness on and her bell and her choker chain and her collar with the registration, all that kind of stuff. And we got on the trail right about 5 o'clock. And a few minutes down the trail, a large German Shepherd came out of nowhere, coming up the trail towards me with no handlers, nobody around it. Came up off the trail and attacked Bree. And it was luckily that I was able to insert myself between the attacking dog and Bree, who was still attached to my leash, and the dog bit me as well. After the incident, the actual owners of the dog appeared, and eventually I made it out of the trail, wrapped up Bree. She was in shock, she was bleeding. I called the authorities, and fortunately right down the street is where the local 50 HPD station was, and they were there shortly. Anyway, that just started the ordeal. Wounds were on Bree's backside. They went all the way through the skin, cut right through the skin. And I took Bree to a local veterinarian hospital, which that is a whole nother video. And it was a disgusting display of uncaring by that particular veterinary hospital on Saturday afternoon. I was then directed by my vet, who I was calling, and they were the ones that recommended me to the first place. And when I got there and was turned away, I proceeded to the next veterinary hospital, which is called VCA. And they were absolutely fantastic. Bree was taken in just like you would see at an emergency. If you walked into an emergency room, she was taken right in. I got her back a couple of hours later with some stitches all in her back. So I brought Bree home that Saturday night and proceeded to monitor. She had a cone on her head, monitored her every day. By the way, she had this, her stomach area was really distended. But this black spot appeared. And within a day, that black spot, which was black skin, turned into like paper and actually opened up, and I could see into her guts. And I was like, this is not good. So I took a photograph of it, and because VCA's got their act together, Dr. Sin had given me her email, and I was able to email her a photograph of the dog, and Dr. Sin wrote back, bring her in. Said the dog has got a tremendous amount of infection. Okay, I said, what do we do? Well, we need to open the wound back up, the original wounds, and now we've got to get after this area of this black area. They said that is called necrosis. The skin died, which I knew already that's what it was. And they said, we're going to have to do this, and she's going to have to stay the night. So she stayed the night, Friday night to Saturday, and then stayed Saturday to Sunday at the hospital. What apparently happened is they took out all the stitches on her rump, the original ones, cut back some of the dead flesh that was also there, starting to, I guess, rot. And then they gutted her on the side and then gutted her on her tummy to get rid of all the rotting material inside her. on that Saturday night. They did, and they stuck 2 drain holes, a upper one and a lower one, with these little drain pipes sticking out. And then they wrapped her up tight in a big bandage a number of times around her abdomen. And instead of closing up the wound on her rump, Dr. Sin recommended that they leave it open, but they sutured what looked like an ice pack bag on top of her rump. They stitched it onto her back that had bandages in it or gauze in it that went down into the live open wound. Eventually, by the end of the next week, voila, we were able to get the suture pack off of her butt, and Dr. Sin stitched her back up. And it was last Friday. I brought Bree back in, and doctor said, great, everything looks good. Let's completely unwrap her and pull everything out. And we did. Dr. Sin actually called me. How about that? A doctor calls you and says, hey, what's up with our patient? I think it's time for you to come back in and let's take a look at those stitches. I gave her to Bree. I gave Bree to her, and she came back out in a few minutes and all the stitches were gone, and Dr. Sin said, just keep the cone on her head for another 24 hours and everything seems to be a-okay. So that's the attack, now officially labeled on the Hawaii Jet Boat Adventures website as the attack.